There we go. I know my problem with cans.
Mm.
So they use the bigger can. Let's make sure Joe unmutes his microphone before the meeting starts.
Okay, John, how's that? And there, oh, you can't see me really. Thank you. All right. Can everybody hear me? Can somebody either wave or
Yep,
is it
yeah,
not?
you're all good. You're all good, Joe.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Again, I was just welcoming everybody here in the room, and I'll welcome everybody online to the opening meeting of the Hazel Park Amateur Radio Club. And we're all glad that you're here. So we have a good demonstration by one of our own today. So we're looking forward to that. So our meeting is officially now called to order. So let's do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, which is right over here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. All righty. All right. Also, want to mention, let's our friends here at the Hazel Park Memorial Library. We thank you for your providing us this this meeting room and other services as well. So they've been very good to us, and we will return the favor. Okay, so thank you, Hazel Park Library. All right, now the next slide here from the our moon bouncing communications public, the EME Moon Bouncing Communications Group.
Today, September 10th, 2025, the moon is in its waning gibbous phase. You can see it this morning, low on the western horizon. This is the first phase after the full moon and lasts about a week, with the moon's light shrinking each night until it reaches last quarter at 50% illumination. The moon rises between 9 p.m. and midnight, appearing later each evening and setting after sunrise. Tonight, the waning gibbous is shining at 88% illumination, and the moon is just over 18 days old in its cycle. The full lunar cycle takes 29 and a half days, carrying the moon through all 8 of its phases before beginning again.
So this is an interesting project, the moon bouncing. You know, we had a great success with the International Space Station. So this is perhaps something we can put on our list of things to do. All right, so next. So in our last meeting when we were here, we voted. We have a new staff. So let me just introduce some of our folks here. I put this slide together so that we know who we are and what we do. So give a listen here, and it should be very informative.
The Hazel Park Amateur Radio Club is guided by a dedicated board of directors. Together, these officers ensure that meetings are conducted properly, finances and records are well managed, and members benefit from mentoring, education, and community activities. Their combined leadership keeps our club strong and active. Director, David W.8HOO, our director, ensures a quorum is present at all board meetings and maintains an accurate inventory of the club's equipment. David also supports the club's mentoring program and contributes to educational activities such as antenna classes. Parliamentarian, UKED. UKE8BID, our parliamentarian, makes sure club meetings run smoothly and fairly. You guides us using Robert's Rules of Order and our bylaws and maintains the official handbook to ensure meetings are conducted safely, orderly, and on track. Secretary, Reuben KE3AU. Reuben KEU, our club secretary, records the minutes of all meetings and maintains the official records of the club. Reuben also manages correspondence, reporting communications at meetings to keep members properly informed. Treasurer, Bob N8REL. Bob N8REL, our club treasurer, manages all club funds and maintains accurate financial records. Bob provides an itemized report of receipts and expenditures at each monthly meeting, ensuring full accountability and transparency for the membership. Second Vice President, Andrew Johnson, AJ5WX. Andrew Johnson, AJ5WX, our second Vice President, assists the President and First Vice President in their duties and helps ensure continuity in leadership. Andrew also supports the planning of programs and activities, stepping in as needed to maintain smooth operation of the club. First Vice President,
Hi.
Lynn.
What's going on?
Our First Vice President assists the President in carrying out the business of the club and presides at meetings when the President is absent. Lynn also coordinates programs and activities, ensuring members benefit from meaningful educational and technical opportunities. President, Joe WB8AX. Joe WB8X, our President, serves as the Chief Executive Officer of the club. Joe presides at all meetings, oversees the business and activities of the organization, and ensures that the work of the board and membership is carried out in accordance with the bylaws. The officers and directors of the Hazel Park Amateur Radio Club prepare the organization for future growth and success while upholding the traditions of amateur radio. Through their service, guidance, and dedication, we extend our thanks for their continued leadership.
Okay, then. All right. So that's who we are. Those are the people who keep this club running, and a good dedicated staff. All right. So next, let's do our member roll call here. What we will do now? I guess we'll just go around and use loud our on-air voices, I guess, right? Okay. So, where do we start? We start in the back. Sure, start in the back, right? So right there, Dave, W8. Oh. All right.
88 W&D. Leonard, BB8FK. Dave, WBNSPI. Tom, Kilo Echo 8, Romeo Mike Kilo. Come on.
88 TRJ.
Okay.
Kilo Delta 9, Echo Delta Oscar.
Art, Kilo 8, Alpha Charlie Whiskies.
John, 88OD.
You, K8BED.
WB8 AET.
Brian, RLN.
Joseph, Kilo Echo 8, Whiskey X-Ray, Sierra.
Mayor, gadget enthusiast, airplane enthusiast.
Really? K8 LXA. Kevin, Kilo Charlie 4, Romeo Foxtrot Super.
Go on everything.
Boy.
Hold on, let me mute it.
Mike, KV8, JHC. W8 Bravo, Papa Alpha, Vladimir.
No cosine, if you.
Okay.
Right, no, on the pulse line yet, still waiting.
Welcome.
Bill, NAUBS.
Donald, 88 NYD.
Andrew, AJ0 WX.
Marv, Whiskey 5 Delta Tango.
Bob, November 8th, Romeo Echo Lima.
Mike, November 8, Victor Delta Zulu.
Ruben, Kilo Bravo 3, Echo Hotel Whiskey, Secretary.
Okay. And I'm Joe, WB8ADX. Okay. Just a reminder, and there was some discussion about this earlier, name tags. So we have some name tags here that have been around for a bit, but an issue we need to address. We'd like to get more name tags drawn up, and so we're working on that. The next item to look at here is just to recognize our clubs and our committees and the people, again, who help keep the club running. Everything we have our everything from the finance committee, our educational committee, mentoring, contest, field day, big one, big group there. The media group, which we need a little help on, that's the webmaster and the Facebook and with the web page there. The repeater committee, our election committee, we're a little bit ahead of ourselves on that, but that will be coming up soon, I guess. Not real soon, but eventually. Anyway, our bylaws and handbook, a lot of good work done by Marv, W5DT. Siren check committee, Mike now, W8VPC is okay. And banquet, I'd love to have a banquet this year. So if we get volunteers to help make that happen, that would be terrific. Our swap meeting, of course, was kind of on hold for the time being, but we're just holding that position. The picnic committee, and of course the holiday committee. So those are some of the open positions there. If you got a little time on your hands, you want to help out the club, we could sure use your help. So thanks for giving that some thought. In addition, like I said, our website, we could really use some help there, although that may have been resolved, I think, actually, now that I think about it. Here's something else that I keep getting these in my email. The club should have a QSL manager because especially after a field day, we get a lot of these QSL cards. So it'd be nice if we could get them answered and have some sort of an organization so that, I don't know, we have a list or we have a page or something that displays all the cards over the years that have made contact with W8HP. And finally, and also the QIZ.com page needs probably could use a little bit of an update there as well. So those are some of the areas where we could really use a little bit of help. Now, moving ahead, I just want to mention our classes, our amateur radio license courses. The technician class will begin October 21st, and that's on Tuesday nights from 7 to 9. It's a good course and got some good instructors there. The general class is Monday.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So Monday. That's right. It's from 7 to 9, beginning September 8th. Today's the 10th. So they did it. Oh, okay. They're underway. It is underway.
You can still sign up for the general class because they just had their they had their first session, which is mostly introductory, but the real meat of the class starts next week. So yeah, if you want to get on, make sure I know your email address and I can send you a Zoom link.
Excellent. The extra class will begin in January this year. Because then if you graduate from the general class, you can go on to take the extra and so on. I do want to I want to make one adjustment here if I can find the right screen. If everybody could mute your microphones, that would be super handy. And there was a way that I could do it, but I have only one screen, which is funny. I'm used to working with the 3 screens, and on my laptop, that's not always the case. So anyway, okay. What I do want to say, I can find my here. What I do want to say, call your attention to is this. So Jerry, W9NPI, who has been involved in our education. Remember, the motto of this club is service through education. And Jerry has done a fabulous contribution over the years, and we're so proud to have him part of this club. But he's going to pull back a little bit, and for a few reasons, one of which is the ARRL is now changing how the tests are done, I understand. Jerry, are you with us, and can you talk to us about what those changes are so folks understand it?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, loud and clear.
Okay, great. All right, what's happening is at the end of the year, the ARRL is not going to support paper testing. Everyone is going to have to switch over to tablets going through to one of the exam services. And at this point, I'm an old guy, I'm a tired guy, and I I don't know whether the club wants to start investing in tablets, which looks like the way they're going to go to do testing in person. So at this point, we could use some new, fresh people who are a little more techie than I am. At 82, I'm pretty much tapped out on some of the current technology. So anyway, that's what we need. It could very well be that we're not going to continue, but if anyone's interested, give me a call. We can kind of reason it out. Back to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Jerry, and thanks for all the great work you've done over the years. And I fondly recall the beginning years when you and I worked together with the technician class, and we were away on the east side one year, another year at Lawrence Tech, and another year somewhere else, a church somewhere. I forget where it was exactly. But anyway, thanks for all you
Yeah,
do.
that was a case of we've been thrown out of better places than this.
Yes, sir. Yes, we have. All right, let's jump over quick. Just talk about the budget just a little bit here before we get into the presentation, because Andrew has a really nice presentation.
We want to talk for a second about that.
Oh, we certainly could. We certainly could. What?
You've just kind of blown past it.
What are we talking about?
Well, should we just be thinking about it, or should we be addressing this issue? Because, should we be buying tablets, or should we just assume that we're going to move on with another with another group like W5YI?
Right. Well, you raise a good point. You raise a real good point. And we have not had that discussion yet. This is
Let the board talk about it, and we'll present.
at the board meeting. Yeah, that's a good place to do that. We'll figure that out. This is news, to us here. So, but yeah, we do need to plot out where we're going from here. Go ahead, Ruben.
Came up at the board meeting. I think that there are a few things at play. I mean, the first that Jerry is not interested in being the coordinator of the VEs anymore, but at the same time, Hparc Rec Center is about to be under construction. So you won't have a coordinator and you won't have a location. So it just really doubles up the difficulty. To clarify a tiny bit on what ARL is doing, they're just no longer going to supply printed exams, but you can still print paper exams using the exam tool software, and then scanning the results from that and submitting them through the exam tools. So it's not that they're disallowing paper completely. It's that they're saying, well, at this point, most people are not using paper. Let's just stop with the paper, and if you really want it, you print it out yourself.
Okay, so that's good. So Reuven was saying is that the ARRL, really the only change is that they're not really don't want to focus on paper anymore, which makes sense, that everything should be online. And
they've said that most of the exams now are being handled electronically.
Yeah.
It's especially because there are a lot of online testing sessions now.
Right.
So they had said that at this point, the majority doesn't use the paper. It costs them money to print all those pamphlets and mail it out to all the clubs. So
Sure.
they said, you know what, exam tools can print paper exams. If you want paper exams, you use this software to print it, and you have an exam.
Got it. Okay, so it's exam tools. Is that the name of the application? Okay, great. So that's good to know. So
It can be done with a tablet, or it can, like, the tablet is an optional way to do it, from my understanding.
Yeah. That would make sense. Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Reuven. Thanks for that.
How do you pay for it?
What, the tablets?
Exam.
The exam, so I mean, there are now two levels, because now the FCC charges, but, ignoring the FCC, I mean, it's still, it's done via either, if for online testing, people collect via PayPal or Venmo or various other ways. And then the club verifies that they got the money, and then they will write the check to the ARL minus any expenses, things like that.
Okay,
Kind of strange.
all right. So, so good. So that's, to be continued. Where are we? Oh, don't forget, by the way, if you want to become a volunteer examiner, a VE, you certainly can and are encouraged to do so. And that goes a long way to help out. Okay. So just a few other, oh, what I did want to do is, before we get into our demo, let's just talk about the budget. You
Sure.
want to say a few things there?
Yeah. All right, what I'm doing this year is I'm doing the finances in two pieces. First off, just the regular club expenses, and then secondly, the grant expenses related to the repeater project. For just regular club expenses, since the beginning of the year, July 1st, we've spent very, very little money, about $300 total. You know, and most of that is just you know, the regular repeater phone lines, the repeater phone lines. We've had some administrative costs for, what was that for? That was for the I think it was a corporate thing. Yeah. And then we had a late field day charge of about $170. So that was the total of $320 spent so far. We expected to spend $390 so far, so we're doing fine. Our club dues are a little bit under expectations. We've collected 90 weeks. We don't usually collect much during the summer, so that's no big deal. But we would have expected to collect about $200. We collected about $100. All right. Now, the big money is the repeater project. As you know, we got a grant for the repeater. We got a grant of $26,743. We got that last it was
April.
approved last April, but we didn't get the cash until like May. The other thing that has gone on though is that at the June board meeting, you know how we usually budget $2,000 a year for repeater maintenance. The board voted to approve $2,000 to be spent with the repeater project should it be necessary. Now, what's going to happen is we're going to spend the grant money first. And if the grant, you know, if the expenses go over the $26,000, then we're going to get into the club money. We may also, if need be, we have another $2,000 budgeted for this year for repeater equipment. If necessary, we may move that into the repeater project also. What we've spent so far on the repeater project, back in June, you know, we spent some stuff for cable and surge protection and dishes. I forgot what the LTU
the microwave dishes.
takes it. Microwave. Okay, right. That was about $480, and we have now spent an additional $10,200. And what that is for is the big omnidirectional fiberglass antenna, some lightning protection, a duplexer, an isolator, and a common ground bus bar. Okay. Now, we paid that. We have not yet received the equipment. But
Number. We'll take care of that.
we'll take care of that. No, see, this stuff, you know, it's not something that sits on a shelf. It's you order this stuff and then they, you know, assemble it because like the antenna, both the antenna and the isolator have to be set for our frequency, for our 146.64. And so, and that's not sitting on a shelf somewhere. They don't put it together until we order and pay for it, which we have. We expect that to come at some point.
You mean that we don't get it from DX Engineering in 2 days?
No. Alas, no. I really like DX engineering, but that's the case. Okay, so that's that. I think with the time this project is taking, I think it's probably a good idea, if we go ahead at this point and request ARDC an extension on our grant. We have the money, but it's supposed to be done by December 31st. And as it's taking longer to get some of this stuff done, I think we need to, at this point, get an extension. It shouldn't be a big deal, but we should do that. Jay, what's up?
As I understand, it's going to require some contractors to do some of the work. The actual antennas, speed line, et cetera. Have those contractors been identified and schedules, building schedules developed? Things like that.
Well,
that work.
Ideally, what we'd like to use is the electrical company that services the building, the electricians in the building. They know the building, they know the management. So that's our goal. We're not quite there at this moment. We're working on a few other clearances, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
So it does or does not going to require cranes or things like that.
Well, when we talk to the contractor, once we get everything wrapped up, we'll answer that question. I mean, how else would you get it up? And what do you mean by crane, number one? And then they have to get it up onto the roof, of course. Yeah.
You can't put it in a stairwell. You can't
No.
put the antenna. I don't know.
No, you
The
can't.
antenna will, like, fit in a stairwell.
Yeah,
elevator,
no.
No, it won't.
It-
It'll have to go up the side of the building.
Yeah,
All right.
it's not that kind of stairwell.
Because it's a one-piece thing.
Right. Right, so.
When did they say they're gonna deliver?
Anyway, so stay tuned. More to follow on that, Jay. I promise. We're working on some other details that need to be squared away before we can
3 meetings.
get into it. So, thanks.
3 meetings going on.
Okay, go ahead, Bob.
All right, that is my report.
And what a report it is. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, all right. So that's the report there. That's the slide there for that. I just want to talk about a little bit about the mentoring thing, and then we'll talk about some equipment, and then we're going to hand it over to Andrew for the remainder. So don't forget, we took this survey, thanks Len, last year. So we got some ideas on the interests of our membership, the digital modes using computers, emergency training, POTA and rag chewing are amongst the top there. So as the board plots out our direction this year, we will use that and as a guide in terms of projects we want to support. Next, we have, don't forget, our DART, our off-air monitors. The DART is family friendly, and we want to keep the conversation family friendly. And it doesn't mean we can't disagree with each other, but we want to do it in a respectful way. So let's and thanks to these folks who will keep eyes and ears open, we'll make sure that happens. Then finally, I just want to point out the club does have a few items for sale. Just so you know. And in addition to that, we'll have Bill talk about it a little bit. He's got a few things here. We'll do that after the demonstration when we have a little more time. So just want to remind you all of that. We would like very much to get itemized clothing here. These are the 2 jackets we talked about last time, what they could look like and some of the things that we're able to do there. Member badges, of course. We got to come up with a plan and get some new badges out in whatever style that's going to be. So here's a few things. This is just interesting to me. I don't know if it's really for sale, but it's a half-wave rectifier. I've shown it before, and it looks like a light bulb. but it was one of the very, very early ones. I saw it online for $150. I thought it would be a lot more, but it's a very interesting piece. In addition to that, we have these Panasonic handheld telephones. If you're setting up a shack out in the garage or up at the cabin or something, and you need some phone system here for $25, that's a pretty good price. In addition, we have the two-way walkie-talkies, which are actually for land mobile, but you can see the amateur band is right up next to it, so it's an easy change. And some of those headsets that will go along with it. So, oh, one last thing. Hold on. Don't forget. So John W. 8TOY has been looking after recordings and our library and our video, and has been doing a great job at that. So this meeting, along with the board meetings and other meetings that we have, you can see the videos there if you're so inclined to do so. But we also have the written versions as well. So there. And with that, I will turn our presentation over to Andrew, who has, I think, fascinating. This 3D printing is beyond imagination. I saw online somebody was 3D printing their house. So that's a pretty big 3D printer, but I don't think you have that here. But anyway, you want to go ahead. I'll turn my camera over to you there. Oh, you're just going to go here. Okay, great. Perfect. That's even better. All right. There you go.
Just gotta see here.
You get it?
Yeah.
Good.
Never wants to do it on the
Here, use it. Yeah. Start slideshow down there. I can do it. There we go. Now you got it. All righty.
So that showing up on Zoom as well?
No.
Thumbs up? No.
Really? Now you're saying that? Okay. Share. We are sharing.
How about now?
Yes.
Okay.
Was the other presentation showing up?
No.
So, hello everyone, my name's Andrew, and for those that, does this work?
No.
No.
Just a cool toy to have.
Yeah.
Tell me when to go. Here, let me.
There.
You got it?
Yeah,
You got it there? Okay, good.
Yeah, so
Okay.
for those that don't know, my name is Andrew Johnson. I'm an automotive engineer by trade. As you can tell kind of from some of the things that I've built here. I was first licensed when I was in college as KC9MWX down in Indiana. I got my general a year after that, and then my extra a few years back. And my favorite part of the hobby is building things. So antennas, circuit boards, and of course 3D printing. And you can see here me at my highest and my lowest. I put that in there just to make that joke. So that's Pikes Peak, and the one below that's Badwater Basin, which is the 282 feet below sea level. So what is 3D printing? So for those of you that are familiar with normal machining operations, that's kind of called a subtractive process. So 3D printing is an additive process, and it's a process of you take a three-dimensional CAD model and you basically assemble the material in that form. So one of the things that helps with, in addition to be able to do it at home on your desktop, you can see with this picture, if you want to build, say something the size of this laptop, you have to take a brick of material that big, and then most of it goes to waste, in chips and all that. Whereas with 3D printing, you only use, the material for the part plus whatever you need to kind of support it, and whatever overflow you have. So it's a lot more efficient use of material. You can kind of make some designs that you ordinarily couldn't. For example, that 3D object picture, the cube with the holes in it. Very hard to make like on a mill or a drill press or something like that. With the 3D printer, it can just pop it out. So if you have, a huge complex shape, might take you, machining time in the, hundreds of dollars to make. With the 3D printer, if you make it out of plastic, you can kind of churn it out for like, 5 cents in plastic. So, and then the way that it works is it takes each kind of cross section of the object and stacks it on top of each other. So if you had a normal printer, right, just your normal desktop inkjet, and you print it out, 5,000 pages each with a different shape, and you cut those shapes out and you stack them, you'd have a 3D printed thing of paper. So it's that same basic concept, just different methodologies. So what does this have to do with ham radio, right? It's ham radio club, not a 3D printing club. DIY has always been a huge part of ham radio. I'm sure some of you probably had Heath kits back in the day, building those, building your own wire antenna. So it's something that we as hams kind of have a lot of experience with, trying to make our own gear, make our own equipment and, break it, make it better and all that fun stuff. So with the advent of cheap 3D printers, you could take that to the next level. Instead of being limited to what you can get at the hardware store, you can fire up your computer, make whatever design you want, hit print, and then, a day later you have your part, which is pretty cool. So you can kind of see here, it could be as simple as, a project box to hold a balun or isolators for the end of your antenna, or it could be very complex, like some of the projects I'll show you later on. So 3D printing processes, we'll kind of start with the first one that kind of came out in the 80s. This is selective laser sintering. So what this is you have a bed of material, either metal or like a polymer of some sort, and you selectively melt it at certain points, and then you lower the tray, and then as that tray lowers, you put more powder on top of it, melt that powder, and then you do that until you have your final project. This is kind of what's used in like industry when you see the 3D printed metal. It's usually selective laser sintering. So these would be really nice. If anyone has one, let me know. Be kind of cool to use one of those. What came out of this a couple of years later in the mid 80s is the stereolithography. And it's the same basic principle, except instead of a polymer or a metal, you're actually using a UV resin. So when you hit it with the UV light, it cures and turns solid, but only where the laser hit it or the UV laser hit it. So that way you can do the same thing where you trace your one layer, lower it, trace your one layer, lower it, and you just keep doing that until you build up your final object. So you can see here, you get about, what is that, 0.05 millimeters. So 2 thou to 6 thou inches. So these are really good if you're making like models, miniature figures. These have really good resolution for that. The last one, kind of the last one to the scene, but the one that kind of I think 90% of people use is fused deposition molding. And this is where you take a molten object and you trace the cross section of it and you kind of build up from there. I know Joe mentioned 3D printed houses. This is basically how that's done, except instead of a table, you move like a concrete pourer. So the concrete pourer kind of traces out the wall, and you just kind of keep doing that, building up and up and up until the house is done. So it's pretty cool to watch because you could like, instead of taking like, weeks to build a house, they do it in like 2 days because it could run overnight. You just have to have someone watching it, make sure it doesn't run out of concrete. So home 3D printing, like I mentioned, the SLA and FDM are kind of the two main things that you'll see. The SLA I haven't used too much. It's a little bit messy because you have to pour the resin in and then take it out. But it is really good, like I mentioned, for miniatures and artistic stuff. The fused deposition molding is cheaper. It's cheaper to run. The print quality is not as great, but if you're like me and you focus mainly on functional parts, it's kind of not that big of a deal. I just want to make sure it doesn't break. I don't really care what it looks like. So entry-level printers right now on Amazon, they're not the best, but they'll kind of get you into the hobby if you wanted to try it out, are about $200 on Amazon right now. In the 1980s, that would have been $650,000 in today's dollars. So, what a bargain comparatively. So, and once you have the printer, if you want to upgrade anything, you could 3D print your own upgrades. A lot of people put stuff online. You can print it. You could probably, if you want to get one of these, and you could convince someone that you're actually saving money, because anything that you have that you break, you can actually repair it yourself, print a repair piece instead of throwing the object out. I've done it for, one of my dash cam mounts and some other stuff where the plastic breaks, I kind of glue it back together, measure it, and then actually 3D print my own replacement part. So actually save money. At least that's what I tell myself. So you can see here, you might think, okay, it's plastic. Okay, is that going to last, or what's the deal with that? So here's kind of some examples of the main materials you'd use for 3D printing. I highlighted the two in the middle, PLA and PETG, because those are the most common ones. I think everyone kind of starts off with PLA. PETG has a lot more benefits. It is a little bit harder to print and more expensive, but not to the point of something like ABS or polycarbonate, which are really good. But for ABS, you need like a custom enclosure to kind of keep the environment warm. Polycarbonate, you got to get it really hot. Sometimes you'll have to have special nozzles because of carbon fiber. If you wanted to print carbon fiber, it'll abrade your nozzle very quickly. So you have to have a hardened nozzle. So like I mentioned, PLA and PETG will kind of do 90% of, probably even 95% of what you could ever need. And wherever they're kind of weak, you just design around it. Me personally, I do everything in PETG now because I have my printer dialed in. And you can see it's good to do a little bit hotter temperature, and it's a little bit more durable. And it has some pretty good UV resistance too if it's for something that's outside. So now that you kind of got the basics of what is 3D printing, we'll kind of go through the process of from design to it actually being printed, which is pretty straightforward. So to have something to 3D print, you could either download it through the internet. My favorite site is Thingiverse for that. A lot of people, I just searched ham radio and pasted a screenshot, so you can see all of the those green keys and anything that you could think of. You could just search there to see, did someone else already make this? And if they did, you could just download it. Takes like 2 seconds, and then go from there. If you're a little bit more handy or more involved, you can get like a CAD program or a modeling program and actually design it yourself, which is what I did for my rotator that I'll show you in some of my other projects. There's kind of two different types of modeling program. One of them is like more artistic. It's a little bit better if you're actually modeling like characters. I don't have too much experience with that with my background in engineering, but I do like FreeCAD. As the name says, it's free and open source, so it's doesn't cost anything. Some of the stuff like SolidWorks and all that, if you can't get a free license, I know get pretty expensive. So I think, what is it? Autodesk is another one. And there's a few other programs that actually have free stuff, but it's a little bit limited in what it can do compared to some of the full-on CAD tools. So once you have your design, either that you downloaded or you made, you have to put it into this program called the slicer. And what it does is, as I mentioned before, how it's basically the 3D print is just a stack of 2D images. The slicer slices the 3D object into those images and then creates the toolpath. For those of you that might be machinists, it produces G code, and then it could send that to the printer. So the printer will take those instructions and say, okay, I'm going to move to here while extruding, this much material. Then I'm going to move to here and then go up a level and then kind of repeat that thousands of times until you have your object. So here, hopefully this will play. Once you send it to the printer, it'll print. And this is a time-lapse video of a spacer that I made. So you can kind of see the head just kind of moves and goes up, and you kind of see the parts slowly appear. It's really cool to watch these for longer parts, but all of my videos for the longer parts, like I ran out of storage for, so like they quit halfway through. But there's some programs you can get, like this is Octoprint. So I have a Raspberry Pi that runs my printer, and then I could hook a camera up to it and have it video, remote manage it and all that fun stuff. So I could, turn the print on, go in another room, not have to worry about it, check it from my phone, all that fun stuff.
What is the advantage of the head and the table both moving? Just in that video, I saw that head and the table moving.
Yep. So on this, the x-axis is the head, which will go this way, and the y-axis is the table.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the head does X and Z, and then the table does Y.
I thought the head did Y as well.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple different formats. Some of them, the table will move in X, Y, and the head still. Some of them, you'll have a full-on gantry where the head does X, Y, and Z. And then there's even some that have the, I don't remember what it's called, but you have like the 3 legs basically. And like that can do all of the crazy axis stuff. So some tips and tricks. Sorry for the people online. I guess I'll try to share some of this stuff. So here's an example of a 6-meter folded dipole antenna. So show it to the people online. So you might think, hey, I want to build an antenna like this. Well, you don't have to 3D print the whole thing. If you go to the hardware store and say, hey, these fiberglass parking markers are pretty neat, I bet I could use these to support an antenna. You could say, okay, I'm going to use these as my main structure, and then I'll just 3D print kind of all of the fittings to get the wire on there. So, don't worry about trying to 3D print everything if there's other objects that'll work better for your application. So in this case, it's zip ties and wire and these parking things from a hardware store with some hardware. And then I 3D printed the centerpiece and these end pieces and then threw it together. And with this antenna on FT8, when we had some 6-meter openings, I was able to get down into, I think Mexico was my furthest contact. So I was able to hear a little bit farther, but they couldn't hear me. But yes, so this is probably, I don't know, $5 worth of stuff, maybe.
For 2 meters.
6 meters. So yeah, it's 6 meters long, but it's folded and to save space. So yeah, 6 meters in the space it takes for 2 meters. Pretty nice. So you can see here's on the screen is a Yagi I did with a similar principle. I used the fiberglass for the main shaft and then some brass rod for the elements. And yeah, it's you could buy an arrow and like
She
150.
said, I've never
and,
seen her mad before, but I think she was pretty mad about that.
Yeah. Can you go on mute? Yeah. Oh, is there like a mute all button? Oh, there you go. Okay. So some other things that you could do, if you had something you were trying to drill in steel or wood, or even like on a wall, you could actually 3D print a drill template. For those of you that have built project boxes with the bulkhead mount coax PL259s, it's really useful for that. So if you say, hey, I want to drill the pattern, you 3D print the pattern, kind of align it to where you want it, and then you could just drill, and then you have a perfectly drilled hole that you could then put the connector onto, and it looks good. And you're not like, oh, I drilled that too far over, or too far under, or whatever. So very useful for that too, not just 3D printing projects, but tooling to make projects with other stuff. And then lastly, if you can make really big parts out of tiny parts. So the example I have here is my rotator. And if you use these 3D, these inserts for 3D prints, you put them on the tip of your soldering iron to get them hot, and you press them into holes. And you could actually take stuff apart. They hold very well, and you just screw it in. You don't have to worry about stripping plastic threads, and it holds stuff together very well. So you might, like as I mentioned before, a lot of people think plastic, hey, it might be weak. If you choose the right material, the right print orientation, and you design it correctly, it could actually be pretty strong. So I have my examples here on my Jeep roof rack. I 3D printed antenna mounts, and then I just have the coax tied in with copper braid to the roof to ground it. And I've actually forgot my antennas on my roof one time and drove in, and it broke the PL259 before like the plastic was fine. So yeah, the plastic, I was like, oh, it's probably got to print a new one, but nope, I looked and it was fine. The one caveat to this is it does sometimes can get brittle with UV radiation. So if you do park it outside a lot and not in the garage, you probably want to check it every couple of months just to make sure there's not any cracks. But I think I've had these on for like almost 3 years now, and they look almost as good as the day I put them on. And go down the highway with a VHF antenna and an HF antenna, and it holds it pretty well. So
That's all pet G.
yeah. So and then the kind of the ultimate thing, right, is if you kind of combine 3D printing with electronics, Arduino, and some other stuff, you get mechatronics. So I do have this rotator over here. Unfortunately for the, actually I could probably rotate this, can't I? The camera, right? So I actually have a Bluetooth dongle on there. Let's see if this will work. So you can see it goes up. Oops. And then wait till oop. Oop.
You can see the rotation.
Yeah. So it's pretty neat because lost connection. So you could actually hook it up with a satellite tracking program, and the Bluetooth will send it commands, and then as the satellite, crosses the sky, it'll just kind of follow it. Yeah.
Nice.
So not to brag or anything, but I did that almost everything. Like I'd say 85% of that of the 3D print stuff I designed, and then I did the PCB and software too. So that was like one of my COVID projects when I was really bored. So a lot of time there, but it was pretty fun. The other one that I have, which is pretty nifty, and this actually probably would cost thousands of dollars if you wanted to get one from, I don't even know if you can get one from DX Engineering, but a variable inductor. A lot of times you can get them for, very low current kind of trimming on a PCB. But if you wanted to say have a vertical antenna that you'd be able to tune from somewhere else, you could, build a 85 microhenry coil, hook it up to 8-foot whip, and then you could, in theory, tune it 80 to 10. I haven't done that yet. The SWR plots do look promising, but just a motor with the screw through here, and as the screw turns, it moves the wipers up and down to effectively shorten or lengthen the coil. So stuff like that where, hey, I want a variable inductor, but I don't want to pay whatever, thousands of dollars is probably going to cost. You can just kind of build it. Obviously, it's not going to be as accurate or as good, but if it breaks, you just print some more parts, wind it back up again, and away it goes. So
Similar to a screwdriver antenna.
yeah, that's right. It's actually I kind of based it off the Yaesu's ATAS 120. So it's the same basic principle, but instead of spending $300 on theirs, I was like, I'm going to spend 300 hours build my own. So, if anything that I said tonight kind of piques your interest, if you want to get started, a lot of libraries like here offer 3D printers. There might be some limitations on what you could print. Usually they don't want someone taking something that's going to, take 8 hours or run overnight or anything like that. I did kind of paste some other local libraries that I found. Commerce Township, Orient Township, Rochester Hills, and Madison Heights. Madison Heights I saw also has a 3D scanner. So if you don't want to model something, you could just take it in, throw it on the 3D scanner, and actually get a 3D model of it, and then print it from there, which I haven't used one of those yet, but that actually sounds kind of cool too.
Yeah, where's it going?
Madison Heights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually has a separate room for all of this.
Oh, nice.
So it's not for the library, it's a separate room specifically for that.
Oh, where's,
At the photo room.
is it in the library or next to the library?
The library.
Okay,
And it's
Cool.
under the library, not at.
That's good to know.
Our staff that knows what they're doing.
Yep.
Are you aware of any printers available for general public use that would be able to create aluminum brackets? Specifically, I have for my more fine junk antenna needs a replacement bracket, and since that company no longer exists, I need to either 3D print one or find a fabricator that can make them. Are you aware of anyone that can print aluminum brackets?
Yeah, I do know there is like, that is technologically feasible. The cost would probably be pretty high because most of those are owned by like R&D. I don't think there's anything like consumer, even like pro hobbyist grade that would do that. Having said that though, one of the things that is possible with 3D printing is you could actually print the bracket as you'd want it and make a sand mold out of it and then cast aluminum, your own bracket. A lot of people do stuff like that for other projects where they'll do a 3D print of the shape that they want and use that to make a casting mold and then cast it out of metal. So that is another option. I haven't done that. It sounds like a good way to start a fire. So
Taking small pieces of aluminum or copper, and the best way in what you just said, that you 3D print what you want, and you just sand packed into the mold. And you can see that done on many YouTube pages as well. But you gotta be very, very careful of that hot metal because it will singe you.
yeah, and then it'll probably stick too because it's liquid. So just for some show and tell, I know I've had some other members that have no 3D printed stuff. So we have some radio as well as non-radio stuff. So we'll open the floor up. Again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. Like I said, it's a really great hobby because you could actually use it like in almost every other hobby. So like almost anything you could think of, like, oh, if I had a 3D printer, like I could do this instead of, buying whatever. So
Let's go to his house.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So if you use a program like SketchUp or something, a 3D drawing program, what's the file format that goes from the drawing program into the 3D printer program?
STL.
Yeah, STL. Yeah. So the slicer program that I mentioned,
Got it. Okay.
that'll take numerous different 3D formats.
Yeah.
I'm not sure all what's supported, but it'll take like everything that is supported. And then you put that into an STL, and then that slices the STL and then spits out the G code.
Yeah, you can also use G code with it too. So if you have anything that like the CNC or CMM codes that you have, it can actually be transversed into STL.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I brought a couple things. I tried to keep it as radio as I could. Start with, this is somebody else's design that found online, and I think somebody brought this to a breakfast, one of our breakfasts on Saturday morning once. Also, it's got the surface mount PL259 in here. It's it's reverse threaded for a balance. Nice little thing, prints up really pretty quick, and it's got places to hang it with. Those who are at field day may have seen this. I found a keyer online or that somebody else designed and printed it out as I was going to start. I still haven't, but I'm gonna start Morse code. And so I printed it out and put it together and went, oh, that's pretty loose and flimsy. I can make that better. And that's usually what happens. Yep. I'll find something and I'll go, oh, that can be so much better. And I'll spend another 15 hours making it great. I think this is version 4. Yeah. Mark used this at field day a little bit to test it out for me. He said it sucked.
No, I said it was just a little light.
Yeah, it's light. This is filled with lead shot. you know, I'm the kind of guy that goes, what do I have? I don't wanna buy, what do I have? I did something for somebody a long time ago made out of wood and it needed weight. I don't remember what it was. It might have been, you know, a car for, what's those?
Oh, Pinewood Derby.
Pinewood, might have been for Pinewood Derby. I don't know what it was for. But whatever it was suggested I use lead shot. Well, I could only get a 50-pound bag of lead shot and I used a tablespoon of it. So I have lead shot. So when I redesigned this, you know, Marv said it's light. Well, I thought it was pretty heavy till I picked up Marv's and went, holy cow. Okay, I get it. So he also, his other comment was, this is too hot. So I thought at first I would just, you know, make tabs on these. Now it's down here. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make the base bigger. Now your hand's sitting on the base and it'll have a lot more weight and we'll have you test it again. I like making antennas and I like having, you know, screwing around with antennas. The first antenna that I made was a quarter wave ground plane made out of coat hanger. And I'm at 10 and Ryan and I was reaching 15 and Shane or whatever that repeater is there, the firehouse there. I was reaching our repeater. It sat in my shack on a PVC pipe, touching the ceiling. It was, you know, so it's 7 feet in the air, 6.5 feet in the air, and it's reaching that far. I love the quarter wave ground plane, but then I learned about radials. And so doing POTA, I've learned more radials are better. And of course, I know I get it. You get to a certain point and more radials, it's just more work. You're not getting as much bang for the buck. So, but I just recently started thinking about the quarter wave ground plane again and thought, well, it's got 4 radials on it. What if it had 8? So created this, you know, the PL259 will, you know, the surface mount will fit in there. The radials will come out of here. This will protect it. So the other problem with the quarter wave ground plane is it's very, it's easy to damage. And so what I'm going to be doing with this is I'm going to be using, what are they called? Nylon tubing. And I'm going to use, you know, the wire's just going to run in that tubing. Birds can land on it. You won't bend it up anymore. And then this will just keep the water off. You know, the nylon tube that's coming out of here will be sealed here and sealed on the top, so no water will get in. That's just having fun making stuff like that. And then few more quick things. While I'm doing POTA, last time I did POTA, I'm sitting there with my headphones on because it's sometimes hard to hear. You know, the speakers, you know, facing towards the sky, and it's just sometimes hard to hear. So I'm got my headphones on and someone came up behind me, scared the crap out of me. You know, I don't know how long they were standing there until they put a hand on my shoulder. Oh, I had scared the heck. So I made this. This just sits on top of the radio. Now the sound comes out of the speaker and it's coming right at me. And this works great. It just, you know, took me, I don't know, 30 minutes to print this and another 30 minutes to design it. And then finally, this isn't really ham radio, but a friend of mine sent this to me and said, you might want to print this. This is cool. It prints in 2 parts. The silver is 1 part. The black are little like springs that just fit in. And all this is, and when you're soldering, you stick a wire in there, you stick a wire in there, and it holds them in place for you. And it's really quick, no turning. You know, you have a little vise that I normally use. You gotta it's one clamp and you're trying to get both wires held in there while you're using it. I need 4 hands to do that. This super easy, super quick. And there's a million things like this. If you just did a Google search on cool tools, STL files, 3 letters, STL. Cool STL tools. There's some really wicked cool stuff out there that's really simple, really useful, and fun for people like me who go, I can make that better.
How are we doing on time?
About 10 to, I guess.
Okay, so then we have some other stuff, if you want to see some, not necessarily radio, but some other tools. That arc reactor, I think, is probably the best.
Some of it's radio related, but most of that stuff's
Yeah.
on poles or.
Yeah.
If anyone's familiar with Meshtastic, do a few different nodes here with,
Yeah, I was gonna say, you could do a lot of cool stuff with the Meshtastic.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of stuff online for that.
these like,
Yeah.
just like you said with Thingiverse, you download the parts. This is made out of 3 pieces, the gray, the black, the gray, all the electronics bolts in the middle. Of course, I didn't 3D print the antenna or the electronics. I used another smaller one, and this is the battery and everything encased in there. If anyone's not familiar with Meshtastic, you can actually Bluetooth your phone to this and then send texts over radio waves. So this is one, all the electronics are in this little box this is a solar light from Home Depot, and then I just 3D printed, pulled the light off, 3D printed this piece to go on there. It's on a piece of PVC, put it up about 20 feet in the air, and I can reach with, actually the smaller one, this antenna works better than the bigger antenna. I can do about close to 2 miles in text between the two. So it's kind of nice if you put one in your car, give one to the wife, whatever. If we ever have a grid down situation, you can still text your family and get a hold of people. And the nice thing about them is they mesh together. So if I have one, and then let's say Andrew had one, and he was close enough, my wife was on the other side, it would piggyback off his and go to hers. So you could, if enough people had these, we pretty much have a free open system for texting over the air.
That's a hit, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people have them, but they don't keep them active.
Yeah, the
You
other
nodes
thing
go up and down.
too that's kind of cool is you don't need a license for that.
Yeah.
It
there's
uses
no
the
license.
ISM, the 900 megahertz ISM band. So
There is ones you can get that do use the hand license, and it's a little more powerful, but with the LoRa signals, you don't need a lot of power. So. Not really radio related, but this is a little project I started. All the blue parts are designed by me, and all the electronics are encased in here. It's a little drone I've been working on.
Can you show some of these on the screen so that we can see them on a remote meeting?
oh, they're on the webcam view. They should be.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Forgot about the webcam.
I totally forgot. I'm so sorry.
Oh yeah, I pointed it. Yeah.
Oh, did you have pointed it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's the Meshtastic nodes. That's the solar one. And these are the 2 handheld ones. And these 2 are just stuff you can download and print. This one is just this piece I designed.
I think you have to turn off the sharing because we're just seeing the presentation.
Try to hit on Joe Resnick's frame.
This is kind of neat. I made a few of these for my wife. She likes these. But the neat thing about these, it uses what's called base mode. So where Andrew was talking about how it does a layer, this is actually one continuous spiral all the way around. So there's no actual layer. It just keeps spiraling up, and they're pretty neat. She puts little LEDs in them, and I don't know, we've got probably about 6 or 7 of these around the house, different shapes. I actually have a Christmas tree also. It's about that tall. That is an extruded snowflake, and it comes out and goes in, and it looks like a Christmas tree. But if you look at it like this way, it's a snowflake. But I would have to dig that out of my Christmas stuff, which is buried by Halloween stuff, seasonal stacks.
Gotta go in order.
And then there's little things like this is a little. When I was playing on just dialing in my printer,
I like things like this with movable parts, because you can tell your tolerances and that.
Is that one of the ones that prints like
Prints
that,
it-
or did you put it together?
Prints it in one piece. just
That's,
like
and that's what I
and it
love
just
those.
goes all over. And
Those
it's
are
got a
so
fun little feel to it. You know, my wife likes fidgeting with it at her desk. It's like a kitchen glue. And this is another one that I would use for testing, just because it does a little bit of up in the air, so testing. The bottom pieces, it starts with 4 different pieces and then merges them all together. And this is actually a flexible material here, so you can actually bend it and almost squeeze it, but there's an infill to it. And I probably got, she got a whole collection of these. I think I printed them in like 12 different colors for her. She didn't like frogs, but.
Sorry, I'm still seeing the presentation. I'm not seeing anything being shown through the camera.
You have to pull up the viewer screen.
Or go to Joe Rasnick's frame and pin on it and expand it.
Or turn off sharing. You can just turn off sharing and then fix it for everybody.
This is a simple little phone mount, phone stop.
No.
There we go.
Which comes in handy. You know, I don't use it too often, but when I'm at work, sometimes I have the video and I
Okay.
don't like use it on my laptop, and I just put my phone there and do the video through the phone. Works a little better with Teams that way. And
Now you got it.
here's what my son wanted to go as Iron Man for Halloween one year. So I printed him a little arc reactor for Marvel. It's
Iron
from
Man's arc
the comic book Iron Man. He had the little thing on his chest.
Oh.
My son had the costume, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of boring. So I 3D printed this and put the LEDs in it. It's about 7 different pieces in here. I didn't design this. This is another one I downloaded. I did design the back piece though. This is another one where you were talking about the mechanical and the 3D printed. I forgot the term you used for it.
Oh yeah, mechatronics. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is more along that line. This is for I have a smoker at home and I like charcoal, like the taste of charcoal. And you know, all the people that have the Traegers and that, you can set them and forget it and just put whatever temperature you want. So what this does, it actually has a blower motor on the inside, a servo in here, and it hooks up here to a Raspberry Pi, thermocoupler, and thermal probe into the meat. And it'll actually open and close, so that can actually shut your grill completely down, or open up and blow the air through to heat it up. And I can keep within probably about 3 degrees on charcoal, and that's not easy to do on charcoal. There's little vents, you know, you're always playing with them, and it's kind of hard. And that's about it. Most of the 3D printing I do is for home repair stuff. So if I could take apart the cupboards and like little things like those little clips that when you put your shelves in your cabinets, those little clips that go in, they break, and it's like, where do you get them? You find somewhere to get them, you got to buy 50 of them. I'll store on the printer, print 2 if you need. They break another 2, print another 2. You know, just little things like that.
That's a whole 3 minutes of printing.
Yeah.
Right, right.
So I could go to the hardware store, or I can just click the button and wait.
One other little handy tool I have.
Well, that LED one, that's pretty cool.
You talk about downloading files.
Yeah.
If you download somebody else's file, is it easy to modify or is it kind of compiled?
It depends which format. Myself, when I post stuff on Thingiverse, I post the both the FreeCAD file and the STLs.
Okay.
So the STLs you could pull back into a program and import them, but it's kind of wonky and you don't have as fine control over like if you wanted to make a small change. So I always when I upload my stuff, I put both the base CAD file and the STL. Some people just do just the STL. So then it's a little bit harder because you have to like back import it into your program, convert it to a solid, and then kind of do some other stuff. And it's not as easy. So yeah, it's up to whoever uploads it really.
And this came from a kind of necessity kind of thing. I dropped a container that had LEDs, 4 different colored LEDs. So yeah, I could have got out my breadboard and, you know, did that, but I made a little LED tester, put a CR232 battery in there, and just pop it in there.
30. Okay, see what your LED, or you could use it for testing the LED to see if it's any good. You know, and then from that, I ended up making a bunch of little tree ones. And for my wife's decorations for Christmas, so I put the one in there, and the battery lasts a few days, week or so. And that's it. The only other thing I wanted to mention was for software. You'd mentioned the FreeCAD. Autodesk also makes a program called Fusion 360. The neat thing about Fusion 360 is, as you design something, you go all through the design, you get to the end and you realize, wow, this piece is the wrong size. A lot of things like that, you got to restart your whole project, start from there. Well, Fusion 360, you have a timeline. You can scroll back to when you did that piece. And then you can change the dimensions of that piece and then scroll forward and it'll fuse that into the rest of your project, which is kind of nice because I'm sure that you guys are both, when you're designing something, get to the end, you're like, oops, yeah, you gotta start over or whatever. But Fusion has a nice feature for that.
Yeah, you could kind of do that in FreeCAD if you do all your dimensioning based on calculations.
Gotcha.
So if you say, I want to make this, 3 off of
Right.
this surface right here, and then calculate it based on the previous dimension and chain them all together, you could do that. But yeah, if you don't do
Fusion
that,
is natively.
yeah,
Just like
if you
that
don't do
kind of
that,
timeline across the bottom.
yeah.
There's a lot of CAD places that also uses Fusion for a lot of like different molds, a lot of different CAD molds.
So you can do CMM with it. You control a
Yeah.
mill with it. You
Oh, yeah,
control
I have.
machinery.
I have.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've used it. But
Right. Yeah, it's a very powerful tool. But the maker version, though, you don't get as many of the features.
Right.
You can control a mill through it, but you're not gonna get all the.
Yeah, you're not
heavy
gonna get
duty.
all those hassles.
Right.
Tom, aside from that Fusion 360, what kind of software do you use as well?
Fusion 360 is mostly what I use for design. But then the slicing program, like he was showing Cure on there, I use something that's just called a slicer. But I'm switching over to a new software called Hparc. That's what I use. And also there's new software for 3D printers. They're called Clipper. And if you put Clipper on your 3D printer, it pretty much turns your printer into a dumb device. And then you have to use something like you talk to Octoprint to do all the heavy lifting. But the nice thing about that is when you get rid of all the processing on the printer can print faster, it can do more because you're controlling it with another device. So you need a Raspberry Pi or something that hooked to the printer exclusively to print. Whereas like right now, you could copy a file right to the printer, print without any of that. But the Clipper is kind of the next generation out there. A lot of the newer printers are switching over to that.
Yeah, so, yeah, thanks.
Yep.
I think that does it for about time, so I'll just leave one last thing. Something that I kind of want to do this year. I know we have a lot of experts in here on a lot of different topics. So if anyone has anything that they're very passionate about, mobile installation, grounding or bonding, digital voice, Meshtastic, UHF, VHF, super high frequency, anything like that, if you are very passionate about and kind of want to share that expertise with the club, we'll welcome you to present. So kind of want to, share the knowledge that we all have. I know talking with a lot of you, like there's probably, thousands of years of experience in this room that we, if we all share it with each other and we all get that experience and we all learn. So that's it for me. So thanks, and I'll turn it back over now.
All right. Well, thank you, Andrew. Excellent. All right. Well, so we're pretty much done. I just want to say a few things. First of all, on the table over here are a few items that Bill has accumulated. Bill, you want to just speak to that a little bit?
Yes, okay. Yeah, you're supporting the club when you buy that because every bit of the profit goes straight to Bob for the club. So I'm not making anything. This comes from the estate of the deceased Cam. And power supplies are checked out. All the good ones are labeled good. The failed one is labeled failed. And I'm gonna say $5 a piece at this time. Everybody needs a 12-volt power supply in the tech, a couple of them, protecting yourself and whatnot. The books are all free, but grab a bunch of them, give Bob a couple bucks. It's for the club, right? The club, not for me.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank,
Two HTs. As in HTs, the same estate. With the battery packs, with the instruction book, with the extra battery packs. This is one of those. Business card size. HTs. As far as I know, they work.
What band?
With the books, with the charger, with the accessories.
2 meter 440.
The HTs. Pretty good. Yeah, they're HTs, they're 2 meter HTs. Oh. Yeah, wise guy. Anyway.
I didn't know.
All right, anyways, that stuff is all to go. Okay.
okay, so great. So take a look. If there's something that interests you, you're all set here. All right, so that's, oh, don't forget, although the season's coming to an end, but think about it for next year. Volunteers needed, of course. And Mike, W8VPC, is in charge of that now. And then finally, of course, we have our morning breakfast. Come join, a lot of stimulating conversation and good food. So that's it. Is there any feedback or anything from anybody have anything more to say, or did I forget something? And yes, go ahead.
This morning I've been to Baldwin Public Library, it's in Birmingham. They have a certain room called Idea Lab. They have 10 3D printers there, mostly small ones, but and also they have laser cutter. I don't really know what it is. It looks like a series of things. So just go there and ask Idea Lab, and you will be fascinated again. There's two girls there, good looking.
All right.
Why I'm talking to Lucy?
Any men that are good looking?
No, I don't.
All right, so we have about 5 minutes to wrap up our room here. So if you'd kindly help us with the chairs, and we got the holder somewhere here, and then we'll pack it up. But thanks. That's it for the meeting tonight. Good. It was, and thank you, Andrew, for a great demonstration and getting us online. All right, thank you, everybody, and everybody who's online. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. It
Bye-bye.
was good.
Good work.
Hello.